we have half an hour, actually 25 minutes, Philip, because I'd like you to be able to go 5 minutes early because you have a boat to catch. Can you share a couple of practices with us as homework that we can go away with for the month? Or is that
Yeah, I mean,
also just to say that I think that, you know, to actually go and spend 2 days with Philip is probably the way forward here. I know lots of people that have done that and have just come out at the end and said, wow, it's amazing. So I fully recommend doing that. But in the meantime, Philip, what can you offer us in 25 minutes?
I'd love to share a practice. Um, I speak about the spaciousness within the body that leaves room for all the world to be felt. And I'd love to share a practice that will help us there, will help us experience that. It's called the hourglass. It's a practice, just to say, that I usually do standing up, but if you'd rather remain seated, that's just fine. But my preference is to stand for it. And take a moment just to release the body to the breath. So that sense not of making the body breathe, but at the end of the out breath, just let go and release the body to the in breath. And then similarly on the out breath, on a sigh, release the body to the out breath. And feel yourself settling into this place at this moment. Just, my images of leaves in the autumn falling from a tree, and just to allow all those little held energies to fall away, and you feel yourself settling. And I'd invite you to imagine the body as an hourglass, not a hard, rigid one, but it's clear, and it's somewhat flexible, and your fingertips, if they can graze or touch your thighs, then you'll feel how the space within the fingertips can join the space of the legs. So there's a continuity there. And this hourglass is filled with sand. And so you feel the sand in your feet and your ankles. And you feel the dry weight of it in the calves. And you feel that sand up through the knees and into the thighs. And it's this inert, dry weight. And you feel it above the thighs in the pelvic bowl, just this dense, dry, inert sand. And it moves up through the arms and up through the torsos, and you feel the weight of it filling the body all the way up eventually to the neck. And just pause there to feel that granular mass at rest within the body, at rest on the earth. And then allow that sand to fill up through the neck, up through the head to the very top of it. And you feel the weight, the inert, granular weight of that mass of sand in the body. And at the bottom of each foot is a little plug. And those plugs fall away. And as they fall away, the sand begins to stream out through those holes in the bottom of your feet. And as the sand rushes through those holes, the whole massive sand in the body shifts in response and settles and shifts and settles, and you feel the level of the sand beginning to drop down through the head as that sand rushes out through the bottoms of your feet. And the whole mass of sand in the body shifts and settles and begins to drop, and it's rushing out through the bottoms of your feet, emptying through the bottoms of your feet. And you feel that level of the sand eventually drop down into the chest. And as it descends, just for a moment, notice the spaciousness, that emptiness above that descending level. And the level drops down through the torso towards the pelvic bowl, and still the sand through all the pelvic bowl and the legs is shifting and settling as it rushes out through the bottoms of the feet. And the level of the sand drops down towards the thighs, and it's shifting through the legs. It's coursing through the bottoms of the feet, and the level of the sand begins to drop down through the thighs, and it drops down towards the knees, and it's still shifting and settling down through the legs, and the level of the sand is beginning to drop down through the thighs, and it's dropping down through the ankles as the sand rushes out through the bottoms of your feet, and the level of the sand drops and drops down through the ankles, and finally the last grain of sand falls away. And just take a moment to notice how much spaciousness there is within the body. And as you take a breath, there's nothing in the way of the breath. It can waft anywhere through the body, through its emptiness, through its spaciousness. You may feel the breath drop down through the body to the pelvic floor, maybe even down through the legs. There's nothing to impede it. There's nothing in the way. Breath flows in and releases out, and you're standing empty in the world. And just notice how the sounds of the world around you can pass through that emptiness and be felt intimately without being held, without being stopped or stalled. They just pass through the emptiness, and they are felt within the body. And notice how the body may even seem to resonate to those sounds. And when you feel ready, allow your eyes to open as gently as possible, as gently as possible. And discover for yourself how much room there is within your body for all the sights of the world to be felt. Each sight passing into the emptiness and through it, and felt with a specificity and an immediacy. And you may notice the colors, the textures, the shapes, perhaps the movement, and it just passes through you. There's nothing to impede it. Every sight is felt in and through the body. And be aware of how the boundary separating you from the world around may feel a little more permeable, a little more inclusive of the life beyond. And remember for yourself how this spaciousness within your body feels. And maybe find some words for yourself. Does it feel calm? Does it feel easy? Does it feel available? Whatever words come up for you, and understand that it's a state you can recover for yourself at any time. That brings this practice to a formal close, but I would invite you not to leave it. What I mean by that is it doesn't mean the practice is over. You have to step out of it. Maybe savor a little bit that sense of spaciousness within. And just, I'd love if anyone's willing to hear what came up for you with that, how it felt, anything at all.
If anybody would like to share, then just unmute yourself with that hand.
Hi, I just felt an incredible lightness, like as if I had wings and I could take off after I'd done that.
Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. I know just what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
I felt like a balloon, and I was getting filled up, and my hands were even going a bit up like that.
Nice.
As if to make space for the balloon. That is me.
Nice. Now, I'm curious, did it in any way change your relationship with the world or your sense of the world?
I just painted a wall yellow, and when I opened my eyes, I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is such a bright yellow wall!"
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah. 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 I know what you mean. Thank you.
I lost my edges.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Or my boundaries. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's another really simple practice I'd love to take you through. I talked about, that journey as a Western culture that we made up into the head, and it'd be fun to sort of gently head the other way and see where that takes us, if you're willing to follow me on that one. So what I'd invite you to do is to take the phrase "I am here" and allow the phrase to just gently repeat in your head. I am here. I am here. And it repeats until you feel yourself centered in the head. Your center of awareness is in the head. You're aware of the world from the head. And notice how that feels. And if anyone would be willing to share a word, if a word comes up for you, how that feels, that'd be lovely. But it's the sense of being really held in the head. I am here. And notice for yourself how that feels. And if there's a word you could share with us, that would be lovely. Top heavy, dissociated. Thank you. Thank you. So I'd invite you to feel that phrase and let it gently release, and it begins to drift down. You feel the phrase, I am here, dropping softly, gently, until it finds its way to the heart. And it settles in the heart. And it gently repeats, I am here. I am here. Until you feel yourself centered in the heart, so that you are aware of the world from the heart. And as your awareness centers in the heart, and you feel the world from there, notice for yourself how that feels. And again, if you could put a word to that, if you're willing to share a word that comes up for you, that would be lovely. The main thing is to notice for yourself how that feels. And there's no right answer, but it's so important to notice for yourself. Surrendered warmth. Thank you. Thank you. And then allow that phrase to gently let go, and it begins to drop down gently, lightly through the body. And you feel it settling deeper and deeper until it finds its way to a spot just below the belly button at the center of your body, what we refer to as the second chakra. And it settles there, and it gently repeats, I am here. I am here. I am here. And as it gently repeats, you feel the center of your awareness aggregating there, so that you feel the world from that place. And again, notice for yourself how that feels. Be patient with it, be gentle with it. And if you could find a word to describe how that feels, just log it for yourself, and if you're willing to share it, that would be wonderful too. Horizon. Thank you, Joe. And feel that phrase there, and allow it to gently release. It begins to drift down through the realm of the pelvic bowl, down towards the pelvic floor, towards the center of the pelvic floor where the perineum is. And the phrase descends gently, patiently. It arrives on the pelvic floor. And it repeats, I am here. I am here. I am here. Until you feel yourself centered there. Until you feel aware of the world from there. That you can feel the world around you from that center. And again, I'd invite you to notice how that feels. And let it rest there. Let it rest there. Feeling the world around you. And if you could put a word to how that feels, what would the word be? And just log it for yourself. And if you're willing to share it, if you're able to share it, that would be lovely too. Bubbling. Thank you, Joe. Ancient. Thank you, Rachel. Belonging. Yes. Thank you, Brenda. Connected. Home. Yeah. Yeah. And that brings it brings the practice to a formal close, but I'd invite you not to just jump out of it, linger there, explore it, let it show you what it will. And trust it. Trust it.